One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Well, Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
Senator Schumer, your reaction to this?
It is outrageous. It's a page right out of Xi's playbook. This is just despicable, disgusting, and against democratic values. Trump and his allies seem to want to shut down speech that they don't like to hear. That is not what democracies do. That is what autocracies do. And it doesn't matter whether you agree with Kimmel or not. He has the right to free speech. And so it is just outrageous. It is indicative of autocracy. And I am just outraged by it. Again, this is what dictators do. This is what Xi would do. This is what Putin would do. We are not that country.
Meanwhile,
Rupert Murdoch, who has admitted they were lies and said he regretted it, has a special obligation to stop Tucker Carlson from going on tonight now that he's seen how he has perverted and slimed the truth, and from letting him go on again and again and again. Not because their views deserve such opprobrium, but because our democracy depends on it.
Very interesting. Welcome to today's Thursday afternoon's broadcast here. Very interesting how the Democrats are reacting to all of this. I'm going to dig in real deep, and I'm going to try to explain to you why exactly they are reacting in this manner. I've said it many times here. You guys have probably don't want to keep me saying it, but the only way you can be a Democrat, the only way you can continue to listen to this drivel is if you have the memory of a squirrel or worse, because there is so much hypocrisy that I'm going to outline a lot of it to maybe you guys don't know all about it. It is incredulous how they can go on television and try to do the MK Ultra stuff and gaslight people to the best of their ability, not remembering a few short years ago, like it never even happened. First and foremost, we have to look at what free speech means. Free speech has been bandied about, everybody talks about it, and I want you to understand free speech may not be what you think it is. Free speech, the actual First Amendment, is about the government. The government interfering with your ability to pray, speak, protest, whatever. The government. Not me here. Not any podcaster who deletes you for saying stupid stuff. Not your employer. It is specifically in regards to what the government can say to you, which is partly why, or I'd say predominantly why, all these nuts on the left are now trying to say it's Trump's fault. It's Trump. Trump did it. Well, as far as I can see, and the actual evidence that shows it, this was a decision made by Sinclair Broadcasting and Nexstar Broadcasting, and the two of them own many, many affiliates of ABC. And then, of course, Disney, reacting to their affiliates, because you got to keep them happy, decided they're going to pull it off the air. But the libnuts are going to make you think Trump did it. And they're going to try all kinds of contortions to say Trump did it. This had nothing to do with Trump on the surface, and there's no way they're ever going to prove it. So they're going to make all kinds of allegorical statements to make you think that President Trump pulled the plug on Jimmy Kimmel because he didn't like him. None of them have said, not a single one I've heard has said Disney pulled the plug, which is what happened. They completely obfuscate a very simple fact, and I'm going to show it to you. Before I get into all that, I want to just give you some housekeeping. I don't know what happened this morning. The President Trump and his event in England, at first they said this was going to happen, then they changed it and turned it into two separate events. So I apologize if it seemed like, well, Barry, they just talked and then the feed cut. Nothing happened. Then later on during the press conference, for some reason, the feed completely dropped. And then I had to come back on. So I'm still working out that stuff in terms of us doing. I got to come up with a name. I'm going to lean on you. What kind of name should I call a presentation where I'm not going to be on camera? I was just going to say I'm off camera, because there's so many different events and hearings and things of that nature. As I'm putting my studio network together, this is one studio. There's actually going to be three. There's going to be one, and then a larger one out there, and then a third one as well. And so I'm going to have three studios, and two of them are on camera. One of them will probably not be on camera sometimes. So I'm just going to call them off-camera events for now, unless you guys in the chat come up with a different name and you want to call it something different, so you know, hey, this is just going to be the event, and it's not necessarily Barry making any commentary. Just wanted to let you know that. Then here today at 2:30, I have a local senator. When I say local, a state senator from Tennessee, Brent Taylor. He'll be here to talk about the National Guard and their... Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, there's other news. See, as much as the media tries to make sure that you're not talking about other things, there's a lot more news. We got the Charlie Kirk, which is partly because of, the Jimmy Kimmel stuff is because of that. But then we've got the funeral commemorative event on Saturday or Sunday. And then Trump he's zooming back. In fact, by the time this show is over, he'll probably be back on United States soil, right back at it all over again. So we shall see what is going to go on. But I just wanted to let you guys know that up front, that's what we're doing. So at 2:30, we're going to jump and we're going to talk to Senator Brent Taylor from Memphis. And before we do that, we could take care of bills here. I'm going to talk to you about Juvenon. Today's sponsor, Juvenile has a different product this time. It's not the one that helps the lifting. This one helps with blood pressure. You know, I'm always on the lookout for natural ways to support my health, especially heart health. It's so important these days. This one has really stood out to me. If you care about what's going on inside of your body, especially your heart and arteries, this is something to pay attention to. Artery Shield is a daily supplement dual designed to support arterial health and healthy blood pressure levels. Artery Shield and Blood Flow 7 together, the key ingredient is thymoquin, a clinically tested and highly bioavailable form of black seed oil. It's natural, it works, and it's not loaded with chemicals or fillers. Just a clean, proven formula that helps your cardiovascular system do what it's supposed to do. Black seed oil has been used for centuries, but not all black seed oils are created equal. Thymoquin is standardized and backed by science, and it's made here in the United States, not in China. It delivers a clinically effective dose, meaning it's not just hype or trace amounts like in other products. It helps support healthy blood pressure levels, arterial flexibility, and blood flow, and it helps your overall cardiovascular function. That's pretty good. It's plant-based, non-GMO, and made without any artificial fillers. So for people who want a science-backed, natural way to take care of their heart without jumping straight to medications, if your goal is to take better care of your heart as you age, this is something worth trying. It's really easy to use daily. It's a simple step with real benefits. You can try it now. Juvenile is offering a discount for the Fanfare family. Just use this special link as you see below, bloodflow7.com/BarryBP, and you get an extra $20 off. That's www.bloodflow7.com/BarryBP. Take control of your blood pressure naturally. Visit bloodflow7.com/BarryBP or click on the link down below in the description of today's video. So after yesterday's Federal Reserve dropping the rates, and we talked about it, I hope you got in. I hope you got in and made some quick moves, because as of right now, the S&P 500 jumps to an all-time high. An all-time high. In addition, the Dow Jones is up 116. The NASDAQ is up 226. The markets are absolutely crushing right now. So I hope you made your moves. Hope you're not weren't on the sidelines and missed it, but there's a lot of stuff that happened. So before we dig into my presentation about everything that's going on with the Kimmel thing, I just want to bring this to your attention right off the bat, because this is very important for people to understand where things, again, that puck is headed. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, friend of the family here, says we're not done yet after the suspension by ABC. Federal Communications Commission Chairman Brendan Carr told CNBC that ABC late night show host Jimmy Kimmel appeared to mislead the American public about facts regarding Charlie Kirk's killing in the days leading up to his show suspension. ABC on Wednesday said it was pulling the show, as you now know. Federal Communications Chairman, Brendan Carr said Thursday, ABC late night host appeared to mislead, which you just said. He also told, this is the part where you need to direct your attention, because the fluttering and going crazy is not going to stop. Carr told that CNBC squawk on the street that we're, quote, not done yet with the changes in the media ecosystem that are consequences of President Trump's election last fall. All right, so when I had him on the show, I cut that interview and I put it as its own video, so you don't have to watch 3 hours. He hinted that something was about to happen, both with the way they handle the media and with pharmaceutical ads. See, those two things are going to be the death knell of liberal media. They know it. It's not about Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel was just a foot soldier. The entire ecosystem, as Brendan Carr said, that's what they're trying to protect. They cannot exist without everything in the media being all Democrat all day, all the time. And so they realize if you put a dent in that armor, that they have worked so dutifully over decades to create, they're in deep, deep trouble. It's not about Jimmy Kimmel. It never was about Jimmy Kimmel. It won't be about Jimmy Kimmel. He's just one in the line. They are terrified of what could be coming. And here's proof it's not the person. Because if it was the person, they would have at many times said this. Roseanne Barr, a comedian, was fired by ABC Disney, and her hit show, unlike Kimmel's show, it sucks and is poor rating. This was a hit show. She was canceled overnight in 2018 after one tweet. Hundreds of cast and crew also lost their jobs. So I'm going to stop right there. Do you remember there being an uproar and a whole bunch of people complaining because Roseanne Barr got fired because of a tweet? No, you didn't. Didn't hear it at all. Gina Carano, she was fired from The Mandalorian in 2021 for social media posts that didn't fit the left's politics. She was dropped by her agency too. So not only did she lose her job, she lost her representation. Nope, nobody complained then either. They're perfectly fine with it. Another entertainer. All right, let's continue. Megyn Kelly, fired by NBC in 2018, her morning show canceled after comments about Halloween costumes. Nope, they didn't complain then either. Dave Chappelle. Netflix employees staged a walkout and demanded his comedy special be pulled because of transphobia. Yeah, I had to make that word up. The left tried hard to cancel him. He succeeded bigger than ever. But they won't talk about that. Joe Rogan. The left pressured Spotify to drop him, running coordinated campaigns and advertiser boycotts over the jab. More popular and stronger than ever. Tucker Carlson, taken off Fox News in 2023. Liberal activists bragged about advertiser pressure campaigns that helped force him out, costing thousands of downstream jobs, his producers and everybody else. Nope, they celebrated that. Parler, you guys may not even remember Parler. Parler was an app. It was going to be the new Twitter they were trying to be. Well, Google, Apple, and Amazon colluded in 2021 to wipe the entire platform off the internet. Tens of thousands of small creators and businesses lost income overnight. Like that. Did you hear any protests? Hear any walkouts? Nope, never heard it. J.K. Rowling, blacklisted from events, attacked by activists, and pressured out of projects for speaking her mind. Probably and arguably the most successful person on that list is J.K. Rowling, and she just gave him the double-barreled salute and said F off, because she had it like that. But again, they tried to kill Harry Potter. They tried to destroy the Harry Potter franchise. Didn't work. But it's okay. It was J.K. where she needs to go. Next up, all of us know, Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell, My Pillow was pulled from all the retailers, banned from Twitter, and targeted with advertiser boycotts. Nope, he deserved it. Every single thing that he got, he deserved. Alex Jones, obviously, no definition needed, banned in 2018 by YouTube, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, coordinated erasure celebrated as a model for censorship. That's just the people you may know about. There were literally thousands, if not tens of thousands of people who were unceremoniously told to hit the road. Yours truly included. Robin included. Didn't see any protests. Nobody complained about all these people being purged. You couldn't even mention certain words. Still can't mention some of them without fear of being deleted. But obviously the biggest one that they kind of forget was Donald Trump. Donald Trump the President of the United States was not allowed on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and they celebrated it. Why is the free speech of everybody I just pointed out somehow different than the free speech of Jimmy Kimmel or Stephen Colbert? Why are you now such advocates for free speech? Conversely, they could probably say to me, why are you now such an advocate for taking away free speech? I've never been an advocate of taking away free speech, but I understand what free speech really is. You see, every single one of those people, it wasn't the government, as far as we knew. And so there was nothing, in fact, you guys used to tell us that, you lefties. Oh, it's a private company, they can do whatever they want. And we had to accept it. And then Mike Benz and Matt Taibbi and other people started digging, and we found out for sure it wasn't the private companies. It was actually Obama, Biden, all the cronies that were pressuring people from within saying, take this stuff down, delete that person. They knew, as we now know, that the core of their ability to spread their virus, literally, was based and predicated on keeping you shut up and keeping you afraid of speaking your mind, afraid of using your First Amendment rights. Because they let you know this is a private platform. This isn't the government. If YouTube wanted to tell you go away, nah, sorry, it's a private company. Facebook wanted to tell you go away, nah, it's a private company. It's not the government. But little did we know it was the government behind the scenes. See, one of the problems that I don't think is ever going to get fixed, and Obama said it correctly, elections have consequences. Every big major company that even exists today and existed a couple years ago, they are not going to jeopardize their business because of the government. They will pretty much go along with what the government wants to do in order to save and be in good graces of that current government. Does that sound right? Nope. Does it suck? Yup. Is there anything we can do about it? Not at all. If I am a company and I know I need a waiver for this or some sort of exception for that, I am going to make sure, I don't care if it's Obama, Biden, George Bush, Donald Trump, I am going to make sure that person in that house on Pennsylvania Avenue, I can talk to. See, I might not be able to talk to all y'all, but I want to be able to talk to him. Too many of us, when we're looking at what's going on with AI and different technical things, and even a $42 billion deal that was signed this morning, I get comments from people who say, I don't trust this person. I don't trust that person. And then I caution you to say, why is it you don't trust X, Y, or Z person? Well, they used to do this. Well, if you're using that as your basis point, you're always going to be disappointed, because I can tell you right now, if Donald Trump wasn't in office, you wouldn't be able to voice your opinion. If Elon Musk didn't buy Twitter, you wouldn't be able to voice your opinion. And if they win in 25 or 26, you may not be able to voice it again. These companies, because they're in business to make money, and their money relies on certain things they get from the government. And I know as conservatives that pisses you off, but let me be the first one to tell you it's the absolute truth. Don't for an instant think that Google or Meta, or Zuckerberg or Sergey or any of the people are doing things right now and putting all this money in, and Tim Cook, because they like you. The Democrats know this. The Democrats know that right now they're looking at a scene in the movie Goodfellas. You remember the scene in the movie Goodfellas when Ray Liotta and Paulie, and he finds out, hey, listen, don't do this because we don't need the heat. I would have played here, but I can't. And he goes, I told you, don't do this. I don't need the heat. Jimmy, quit your shit. I don't need the heat. I'm Sinclair. I'm Disney. We don't need the heat. Jimmy kept doing it. I think Ray Liotta's character was called Jimmy too. You guys can check that. And Jimmy kept doing it. Kept selling his drugs and everything else. And the head boss, the head honcho, Paul, said, Paulie, you can't keep doing this. I don't need the heat. And then what happened? One day, Ray Liotta went to go see Paulie, and he goes, here. Threw him some money. He goes, now I got to turn my back on you. Now good luck. Got to turn my back on you. Once you started bringing heat on the boss says, you're not worth the liability. Jimmy Kimmel, you're no longer worth the liability. We got business to run. I got stuff to do. I can't play with all your causes and your politicalness and everything. We are here to make money. See, most of you probably have never thought of it that way. But now it might be something for you to realize. Now when you're saying things in the comments about, I don't trust this person, I don't trust that person, nobody's asking you to trust them. They don't trust Trump. Trump doesn't trust them. But they got to do business together. And because they have to do business together, they know right there, if I turn my back on you, you might try to stick it in me. But while I'm facing you and we're working together, we're going to make some changes here. There's a new boss in town. Here's what we're going to do. Do you want the terms or not? You want to grow your AI or not? You want to sell your products or not? Let me know. Let me know if you want to sell iPhones here. Let me know if you want to sell cars. You do. Okay, this is what it's going to take. So don't for an instant think it has anything to do with Jimmy Kimmel. He is a tool in the machine, and they pulled that tool off the shelf so the rest of the company could continue making whatever money they want to do. So I see Senator Taylor's here. We're gonna take that. In fact, I'm not gonna break. Senator Taylor's ready. So I'm just gonna show you something because we're going to segue because it was already booked. We're going to talk about Memphis real quick, and then we're going to have an interview with Senator Taylor. Then we'll go back into Jimmy Kimmel. But just understand that. All right, so let me run this video about Memphis because you guys need to see this, okay?
A person is 4 times more likely to be murdered in Memphis, Tennessee today than in Mexico City. And you know Mexico City is not a cakewalk. It's been overrun with carjackings, robberies, shootings, and killings. There were 249 murders, 429 rapes, 5,616 burglaries, and 12,522 violent assaults in just the last little while in 2024 and in pieces of 2025, where it's actually gotten worse until recently when we sent the FBI down to see what the hell is going on. Last month, a vicious thug carjacked an elderly woman parked at the movie theater, dragged her out of the car, and body slammed her into the pavement where she is still trying to recover. It probably won't be successful. So we're not going to allow this kind of savagery to destroy our society anymore. We're stopping it.
You know, it's just so dangerous that you can't get out of your car. You can't go to the grocery store. You can't go to the market or the service station. So, yeah, I want to see the crime stop. And if the National Guard is going to stop the crime, bring them out.
The owner of Centro Hispano, a Latino tax service in Hickory Hill for 15 years, is excited the Guard is coming and not worried about ICE.
We're grateful for the National Guard coming. As far as crime, that's more affecting us than immigration.
We need help. If it can save one life, I'm happy with it.
People could be concerned that it's not normal to see, militarized people out on the street.
No, it's not. It's not normal, but I mean, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. They have to do what they can to kind of take back control of the city.
I I am a citizen here, and yes, I do believe that the guards coming here is really necessary, because this city really needs cleaning up.
And if it was beyond our capacity, sir, then maybe we would call for federal help. But so I don't understand what's different. It wouldn't have anything to do with the fact that Memphis is a largely black municipality, would it?
Yeah. So Memphis is the largest majority black city in the nation. It's something that I wear as a badge of honor, and I think it's something that we should be proud of. I will say that Governor Lee, certainly he can speak for himself, but I will say.
So you got the local politicians wearing a badge of honor that their city is basically like, I don't know, someplace in Mexico. People are dying. It's actually, from what I understand, worse than Chicago. And it's a badge of honor that it's mostly a black city. Why is the color of your constituency a badge of honor? Let's talk to Senator Taylor. Senator Taylor, you there?
I'm here. How are you doing?
Good. Doing well. Hope you're doing well. So tell me what's going on in Memphis right now. From what I understood from the press conference, it's nothing new. It's actually been going on for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, so back in May, Senator Blackburn, who is our U.S. Senator, invited me to a briefing by the FBI, and they rolled out what they were going to begin, which became known as Operation Viper. And the FBI had several agencies here, including the U.S. Marshal's Office, and they've made about, in the last, since May, they've made about 500 arrests. They've gotten about 100 federal indictments. And those resources now from the FBI are largely leaving Memphis. But what the president announced out of the Oval Office the other day was a larger federal presence that includes a lot more than just the FBI. It's just about all of the alphabet soup of agencies that are coming to Memphis, of which the National Guard is a part of. And so they will be coming down and continuing that process of attacking our crime. You know, the low-hanging fruit was the 500 that they got arrested. It's harder now to move the needle, and so that's why they're bringing in more federal resources. And look, if the locals had done their job, we wouldn't be in the position of having to request the president to come in and bring the National Guard and all these other alphabet soup agencies to Memphis.
You know, I've been to Chicago, I've been to Detroit, I've been to Cleveland, spent a lot of time in Baltimore and New York. Never been to Memphis. How bad is it really?
Well, first of all, Barry, shame on you. You should have been to Memphis. And I'm going to invite you down to Memphis, and we're going to go to the Rendezvous. We're going to go to a Grizzlies game, and we're going to enjoy Memphis. And you know what? It's going to be safe when you do it. So look, it is bad. Many of my constituents out in East Memphis and the eastern parts of Shelby County, which is the county that Memphis is in, they don't go downtown anymore. They don't go down to eat at the Rendezvous. They don't go to the Grizzlies games or the University of Memphis basketball games. And Barry, it's not necessarily because they're afraid that they're going to be murdered. It's the property crimes. It's you know, they know how to keep themselves out of a dangerous situation, but when they go in and dine in a restaurant and come out and their car is broken into, they don't want to have to deal with that. So they just don't go. And the last thing I'll say about that is if we don't do something about the crime in Memphis, we're going to find that we are hollowing out the middle class in Memphis, because they will leave, and the only people that will be left will be the extremely poor who couldn't afford to leave, and the extremely wealthy who could afford the private security to stay.
Right.
And as you know, many small business owners are middle class people, and I'm fearful that they may just pack up and leave and take their businesses with them.
You know what? All those other cities that I mentioned, there is a historic, decades-long decay. Was that the situation in Memphis? Because I never used to think of Memphis as one of these inner cities that had decades-long decay. But then again, I didn't know much about Memphis. Has it been going on for decades?
We've always had a crime problem. I used to be on the city council in Memphis 25 years ago, and it's always had a crime challenge. Hadn't been as bad as it is now. But I would say that in the last 10 years, the crime problem has really gotten really bad. About 3 years ago, unfortunately, we elected a Soros-funded DA who just simply won't prosecute anybody. The police will arrest them, and he will give them a big hug, a cup of cocoa, ask them to go to Sunday school on Sunday, and ask them not to do it again. And he thinks that that's some type of restorative justice. So I've been battling our DA to the point that I now have the Supreme Court actually reviewing his operations to see if they can make a recommendation to the General Assembly, our legislature, about what to do with this Soros-funded DA.
Is it most of the problems? Is it drug related or gang violence with weapons, or the whole shooting match?
It's everything, but primarily most of our crime revolves around gangs and domestic violence. And those are the two areas that drive much of our violent crime. Now, we have a lot of property crime because our Soros-funded DA just simply won't prosecute. He thinks that property crimes are not important. And, Mayor Giuliani made New York the safest big city in America in the 1990s by focusing on the squeegee men, the panhandlers, the turnstile jumpers. And when he focused on those crimes, the big crimes took care of themselves, and he made New York the safest big city in America. We could do the same thing here in Memphis, and I think President Trump is sending these resources to Memphis not to fail. He is going to succeed, and I think Memphis will be a better place because of what President Trump is doing.
How much of the crime is outside influence versus homegrown? I mean, are you seeing people shipping guns, shipping drugs, or is it pretty much contained?
Well, I think it's pretty much contained. The problem for West Tennessee is that Memphis is the epicenter of the crime, and the crime is radiating out from Memphis into the smaller rural communities. Wow. And what happens is the gangs know that to peddle in their trade, they can go to these small communities where the police departments don't have the resources available to really stay with the case and see it through to its conclusion. And so they find that these criminals find that they can go to these smaller communities and just about run the entire community. So that's why this is an effort not just to make Memphis matter. And in order to make Memphis matter, we have to make Memphis safe. But it's really about West Tennessee, North Mississippi, and East Arkansas.
Now, that guy who was talking on MSNBC, was he the mayor? And I guess my question is, who in leadership would be open to this? Would the police chief be open to it? Obviously the mayor and some of the city council people aren't going to touch it. They hate it. Are you expecting that Trump's team will find some friendly faces when they get into Memphis?
So the governor, our governor's Republican. We have a supermajority in the legislature, of which I'm a member, and represent Memphis and Shelby County. And so we're supportive of this. Matter of fact, we're having a press conference later this afternoon welcoming the National Guard to Memphis. Mayor Young, despite the clip you showed there, Mayor Young, he is not supportive of the National Guard coming. He is supportive of the other alphabet agencies that are coming. But Mayor Young, to his credit, did say, the decision was made above my pay grade. The president has made the decision. He's going to send the troops. And the best thing we could do for Memphians is cooperate, and let's see if this will work. So although Mayor Young does not support it, he is willing to work with them. Now, our county mayor, our county executive for Shelby County, now he is off the reservation. And he's had a press conference the other day talking about he was going to sue and calling it a military occupation. It's not an occupation. It's an investment. And Mayor Harris, unfortunately, just rendered himself as useless as a nutrition chart on a bag of ice the way he conducted himself at the press conference the other day.
All right. So if you, President Trump or Pete Hegseth, whoever comes in as the point person, says, hey, Brent, draw a circle where we need to begin concentration. Most of the time when I talk to people in big cities, they're like, if you get this area right here cleaned up, we're going to really, really make some inroads. What's that area in Memphis that you would tell and give advice to Pete Hegseth or whoever and say, you need to get in here?
That is an excellent question, and I can tell you exactly what it is. We need to focus on downtown, an area that's referred to as North Memphis, which is immediately north of downtown, and South Memphis, which is immediately south of downtown. Memphis it's a big city geographically. We are comprised of 225 square miles.
Wow.
But most of the criminal activity is headquartered out of downtown, North Memphis, and South Memphis. And although there's crime in the other areas, but it's all emanating from downtown, North Memphis, South Memphis. If we could focus there with all those law enforcement assets, we would begin to have an immediate reduction in crime. And I might add, Barry, that since the Operation Viper came back in May, we have had a pretty significant drop in crime the last quarter. And it's because of those 500 arrests, and they're being arrested by the feds and being indicted federally at the federal level. So it's having an impact, and I think this new round of resources, phase 2 of these resources and assets, we're going to begin to see this crime come down, and Memphis will be better for it.
Given what you've seen up in Washington, D.C., how long do you think it'll take to get Memphis cleaned up? It'll take a while, obviously, to get it truly cleaned up, but to where it's presentable and people are willing to go back downtown and shop and eat.
I think pretty quickly. That's what I've told my critics that have argued with me about the National Guard coming. I said, well, hell, you can't argue with success. They went 2 or 3 weeks in D.C. without a murder.
Right.
And if we just got that, think of the lives that would be saved in Memphis, and this whole thing would have been worth it just for that. President Trump was able to do it in short order in D.C. Matter of fact, I was talking to a restaurant owner here in Memphis who's got a friend who owns a restaurant in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And he told him the moment the boots hit the ground in D.C., that people immediately stopped taking Uber to the restaurant. They started walking to the restaurant because they felt safe, and that his sales were up 40%. And that was almost immediately after the National Guard got to D.C. So I think it'll happen quickly. I think Memphis just got caught in a situation where the crime was overwhelming the local resources, and we needed the state and federal resources to come to backfill our local police department. And once we get crime down to a manageable level, I believe the local police departments will be able to keep it down. Look, Mayor Young, even though he is opposed to the troops coming, he wants what's best for Memphis. Nobody wants Memphis to be crime-ridden, and it's just a matter of how we solve it. And fortunately, we've got somebody in the White House that doesn't give a damn what pushback there is from the locals. He's going to do what he thinks will make this city work and be safe, and I applaud that, and I'm glad he's sending the resources to Memphis. Memphis is more than a headline. Memphis is a city worth investing in. We're the home of Elvis Presley, the home of B.B. King, the home of Justin Timberlake. We're the home of FedEx, AutoZone, International Paper, XAI. We're a wonderful city. We have a lot of potential, and President Trump recognizes that, and he's sending the resources down there to make sure that we can take full advantage. Tennessee will not be successful as long as this most famous city is sliding into chaos.
Yeah.
President Trump is stopping the chaos.
From a political perspective, and I've asked this of people who are in other big cities, and why would you possibly be opposing what would literally the criminal reconstruction of your city? Why would you even have a problem? And I haven't gotten a real answer other than they want it, because right now I'm not in politics, but if you said, Barry, what do you need to do to clean up Baltimore, just like you did, start right here and put in the presence, and the rats will scurry. Why hasn't it been done? I don't know how big the police force is there, but why do you need the National Guard? Why do these cities need outside forces when they have thousands of police officers?
Well, in Memphis, we have about 1,700 police officers, and we're about 500 to 600 short. And this is a problem that's a national problem of getting people to going into law enforcement. And it all stems from the BLM riots from 2020,
right,
with all the BLM folks walking around talking about pigs in a blanket, fry them like pigs or whatever it was. Nobody wants to go into law enforcement anymore. So we're struggling to hire police officers, and I think the police department was just simply overwhelmed. As it relates to the political leadership, why they're opposed to it, I'm not sure I guess maybe there's some level of embarrassment that if the president is able to come in and get this done, that somehow that it will reflect poorly on them. But I think it will reflect highly on them when they run for re-election, that crime could be at an all-time low.
Yeah.
So if they're not thinking this through clearly, it's only because their butter has slipped off their biscuit and they're not thinking clearly. And so I would hope that they focus on making this work, and we can all be better off for it.
I found those 3 or 4 clips from the residents that were posted at different places. Beyond those 3 or 4, because that doesn't make a city, what's the city, the constituency reaction? How statistics and how you want to point a narrative is one thing. You're actually there. What are the people saying?
Yeah, so a lot of the Democrat elected officials, they're having press conferences and they'll have some people standing behind them. But look, I'm out and about all throughout the city. I'm a Republican, and the inner city of Memphis, the African Americans in the inner city of Memphis, they are not typically Republican voters. Okay. But when I'm in the city traveling around, I can't tell you how many times African Americans come up to me and say, thank you for what you're doing to try to make Memphis matter and to make Memphis safe. We welcome the National Guard. We need them here. So I think, just like many other issues that President Trump has so masterfully done, is he has managed to put just about on every major issue of the day, he puts the Democrats on the wrong side of every 80-20 issue. And there have been local polls here done by news organizations that about 80% of the people welcome the National Guard. So our local Democrats are falling right in line and marching right off the cliff like the national Democrats with their talking points on the wrong side of an 80-20 issue.
Well, last question I have for you. My time in Tennessee has been mostly spent in Knoxville, obviously, for obvious reasons, football. And it's such a beautiful place with the river right there. 100,000 people will be there. Are you guys home this weekend? I guess you're home this weekend. So I'm just going to ask you, you guys think you got it this year?
Well, it's funny. You mentioned UT. Down here in Memphis, there are not many native Memphians, and I'm not one. I'm from Mississippi originally. I grew up 20 miles from Ole Miss. My daughter went to Mississippi State. My son went to Auburn, and my wife went to the University of Memphis. And so in this area, there are probably more Ole Miss fans in Memphis than there are UT fans.
Really?
Now, you don't have to get far. Yeah, you don't have to get far east going east before you start running to UT fans. About probably 50 miles outside Memphis, you start picking up more orange. But here, there are not a lot of UT fans. Most of them are University of Memphis, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas. And so among those teams, we hope somebody makes it this year.
You know why I asked? You're going to laugh. I looked at your shirt and I saw the checkerboard. I go, he's got to be a Vols fan. Either that, you're just you're representing.
Hey, look, Barry, you don't know this. You don't know this, but this morning I got dressed. I grabbed this shirt. I've got a press conference this afternoon we're going to do about the National Guard. I told my wife, I said, does this shirt look too much like UT? And she said, oh, no, that looks fine. And now, because of you, Barry, I'm going to go change shirts before that press conference.
As soon as I saw you on camera, I was like, this is a UT guy. I said, you even have the checkerboard. I mean, it's not just the color. You got the checkerboard, too. And I'm like, and then behind you, the house is, it's in yellow, but it's still close. So I thought for sure you're a Vols guy. All right, Brett, thank you.
Man, I tell you, I'm going to tell my wife about this conversation and tell her she failed me this morning.
She sure did, because you definitely look like you represent. Hey, I'd love to have you back. I'll have Ashley give you a call. Give it a couple of weeks. I'd love to get a report from you on how everything's doing.
Barry, thank you so much for having me on. I look forward to coming back on and doing a report.
Thank you, sir. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't know what I was talking about when I said that UT, if you've never seen the Tennessee football stadium, and it's a big checkerboard, and when they bring out old Smokey, he's wearing a checkerboard vest and everything. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'll be right back. Let me talk to you about my friends at Patriot Addict. And at Patriot Addict, they're doing a whole bunch to help out this channel, so I'm going to do a whole bunch to help them out as well. You guys are familiar with the red Trump knife, which looks like this, and we've had many people buy it, but now they're coming out with a new improved, the Trump signature blade right here with President Trump's signature on it, as you can see in the artwork there as well. And here is the knife that I've been talking about. Hold on. And it's the 45-47 knife, a little bit different color, black and white. Still got all the same features. It's got the window breaker, should you get stuck in a car. It's got the seatbelt cutter, and it's got the quick action opening of the blade. Still very heavy and very sharp. I mean, this thing here is very sharp. Please be very careful. In addition, it's got President Trump's signature stenciled here on the blade. So you can get this just by going to the QR code right there or to barryknife.com, and it's free, 100% free. You just have to pay shipping. Normally it retails for about $70, but you can get this for free. Just pay the shipping. That's going to be about $14 or $15 depending upon where you live. Good weight to it, balanced, strong knife, sharp knife. So if you're interested, go ahead and go to QR code right there or go to barryknife.com. Thank you, Patriot Addict. Ashley said, "You're muted." Okay, I'm back on. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Ashley, for that interview as well. But, okay, so we're going to go back and start talking about the Jimmy Kimmel thing all over again. Not all over, but I continue. I got a whole bunch more to go through. I want to make sure you understand what I was saying in regards to these corporations. A corporation, their only interest is to make sure their stockholders make money. Unless you're an NGO or a nonprofit, your objective is to make money. It is completely to the antithesis of your business plan to piss off the person in the White House to stop you or inhibit your ability to make money, which is why I always say to you, skate to where the puck is going, not to where it is. I knew months ago that once Elon Musk apparently put his focus back on his companies, it would shoot up. Didn't take a whole lot of work. Remember I told you, I said the fundamentals are there. Nobody's complaining about the product. They're complaining emotionally about who he is. And so he had to do this for the benefit of his shareholders. Understand that. We don't know the relationship with he and Trump. All we know at this point is that his stock is almost up 40-50%. Took away the emotion. I'm here because I have to make you shareholders money. ABC, full disclosure, I used to work for Disney. I know Disney will walk away from things simply because it's not in their best interest. I was a general manager on Pleasure Island. Pleasure Island at that time was a place for partying and bands and dancing and puking and fighting. Made a whole lot of money. But it hurt the brand. They tried even doing different things, different uniforms, different name tags. Can we do anything to distance this place from Happy Valley where, the Magic Kingdom is? We were the black sheep of Disney. Oh, you work on Pleasure Island. Oh, God. But then they're all there at night. But they realized after enough drunk driving and deaths and all kinds, this ain't worth it. Nah, we're going to have to shut this place down. Ixnay. Make it go away. Why? Well, it's making a lot of money. How could you guys do that? Money's not important for a company that size because it's just a piece of the overall revenue. And so when Disney, ABC, Sinclair, and Nexstar are looking at Jimmy Kimmel and all the heat that he brought on them, they're like, yeah, you make money, but you're not worth it. The liability at this point is too high. See, all the people in the media are trying to get you to focus on this part, Jimmy Kimmel. And they're not looking at the entirety of the thing. You watch, they're going to turn on Disney. They are going to turn on Disney within probably a week because they're going to realize their attention on us is futile. Their attention on Trump is futile. It will go nowhere. So they're going to then have to go after Disney, which is, I can't wait to see how that's going to work out. Go ahead and piss off the company that's been your flagship. Everything you wanted to do with the Transformers and everything else, that's been your flagship. And now you're going to turn, and it ain't going to work out. Continuing with this post here. It says, patterns are clear. Coordinated advertiser boycotts. Yep, you know it's coming. Public celebrations of people losing jobs and businesses. Two sets of rules. The left can lie. The Russia hoax, the Covington kids smear, Jussie Smollett, and they laugh about it, but the right gets destroyed. Accountability only ever goes one way. The left has spent the last decade perfecting cancel culture. All we had to do is watch. They wrote the plan. They had the playbook. They showed us the playbook. So that's what you do, huh? And you know where they got a lot of that playbook from? Al Sharpton. Like, how did Al Sharpton and Jesse, shake down these corporations? Because the corporations, I don't want to deal with it. Pay them. Get them out of here. And so they just ran with the Marxist playbook. Shake people down. And they showed it to us. That's their problem. The left has spent the last decade perfecting cancel culture, destroying jobs, nuking shows, wiping platforms off the internet, and laughing while people's lives were ruined. But sure, Jimmy Kimmel smugly lying about a political death, totally fine. It wasn't ever about Jimmy Kimmel. See, the problem is we learned the playbook, and that's pissing them off more than anything. Wait a minute, you guys aren't supposed to do what we do. Yeah, we learned. It's learned so much that, I would see things like this and it would just crack me up. And I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I showed you him last night. Barack Obama, a little while ago. After years of complaining about cancel culture, the current administration has taken it to a new and dangerous level by routinely threatening regulatory action against media companies unless they muzzle or fire reporters and commentators it doesn't like. I want to highlight this part right there. New and dangerous level. This isn't new. They only want you to think it's new because you're not supposed to remember they were doing it the entire time. New? Somebody had a comment about that. Yeah. Roseanne Barr, a comedian. Remember when you and your wife called Bob Iger is CEO of Disney, to have me fired? Oh, you don't remember that, huh, Barack? Barack, that's old. Don't worry bringing up old stuff. Why you got to talk about old stuff? You mean a comedian that you didn't like, you called the CEO of Disney and had her fired. The problem the left has right now is too many people know the playbook. They've got the scars. They know everything about what you people do. And you can't take it because it's like, oh my God, they're actually doing it to us. Yeah, that's why Barack can say something so stupid. That's why he can even bring that up, is because they don't think you remember. Everything about the left's ideology is completely 100% dependent upon you having a vacuum in your head. That you don't know what actually happened. Because if you did, you would know what happened to Roseanne Barr, and if you did, you would know that it happened to Gina Carano, and if you did, it was just over and over and over. So I'm going to play you some stuff, and I want you to hear how they have completely, and I do mean completely, wiped people's minds and for it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Depends on it.
Scott Jennings, you were at this table last night and you defended free speech. Tonight, we are seeing the FCC chairman explicitly threatening a company over speech that they don't like.
See, Abby, you're going to get yourself in trouble. Did you, not even was Jimmy Kimmel's dressing room cleaned out when they went right on television and lied. We are explicitly seeing the director of the FCC chairman threatening. What? I don't know. Let's listen to how Scott handles it. He's got his perfect look on, but I'd have been like, Abby, where did that happen? Where did Brendan Carr explicitly threaten? I haven't seen that.
You're good with it or not?
Well, I mean, Jimmy Kimmel's still free to speak. He just isn't necessarily free to do it on ABC, which obviously...
And that's it. That's what they don't understand. That's what every single one of you have to understand. You have free speech, but somebody also has the right not to hear it, not to listen to it. You can say whatever you want, but I can choose not to listen to you. SV can say blip. Ashley can go blip. You say it. Nobody can stop you from being an idiot, but you don't have to be an idiot here. And Disney has said, you can say whatever you want. You just can't say it here. How is your free speech more important than my free speech? See, that's what the quandary that the left has today, and many of the people on the left just can't accept. Your right to free speech does not say you have the right to blah, 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 and you have the right to tell the other people they got to listen. It doesn't say that. Founding fathers took that sentence out. Oh, yeah, we can't do that. We can't say you have to listen to them. You can go outside your house right now and scream whatever you want. And people can just drive by and go, I don't know what's wrong with Barry. He's out there screaming again. I got to listen. We don't have to let you be a troll. There is nothing in the Constitution and your First Amendment says, I have a First Amendment right to say what I want. Sure, say it. As you're leaving. I can't tell you how many times I've even gotten it here. Oh, there's no free speech here. No! Oh, that sounds chilling, right? Yeah, it's the absolute truth. No! This is not your house. This is not your platform. ABC is not Jimmy Kimmel's. You got to do what your boss tells you to do. And they don't have to listen to it. You can say whatever you want.
Business decision. I see everybody rushing to blame the administration for this tonight, but you had Nexstar, which owns a bunch of ABC affiliates, and Sinclair Group, which owns a bunch of ABC affiliates, saying they were mad about what he did. I'm sure it generated massive numbers of viewer complaints into the affiliates. A smart TV person said the only thing you can't do in TV is piss off the affiliates. And I think that's what they did.
So then why did Brendan Carr have to say, we can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way? And then he went on to say that they can either censor Jimmy Kimmel or the FCC will have more work to do. And as you may know, Nexstar has business before the FCC. They have a deal to purchase another TV group, Tenga, for $6.2 billion. In order to do that, they need Brendan Carr to say, yes, you may own more TV stations than is legally allowed right now. So there's...
If I was there, I would have said, Abby, you just answered your own damn question. See, as much as that might make people feel a little bit uneasy, you just answered your own question. Well, why would they do it? Because we got a $6 billion deal pending. She answered it. Most lefties don't want to hear it. Most people are afraid of business because they don't know how business runs. And she just was Exhibit A. Well, it had to have to do with something because, they got a $6 billion deal pending that they've got to go in front of, Brendan Carr. Well, then you better do right then, right? We all have the Brendan Carrs. They're called parents. They're called wives. They're called husbands, although the husbands don't have as much power. But we all have that person, that group, that boss, where our free speech may cost us. I could go home, walk in, talk to Robin. How was your day? Shut the F up. My free speech. And then I better duck. And I better duck quickly and not go to sleep. Free speech, honey. I can say whatever I want. Not here. Here, free speech ends when you offend me or when I choose not to hear it or not want it. There is a cost to free speech that people don't like to recognize. It'll probably piss people off here in the chat. Try it. Walk out of the room wherever you're watching and tell your wife to F off and see how your free speech is received. You see, I make light of it because it's such a simple concept that most people don't even think about. I can say whatever I want. No, you can't. Not and live in a civil society. Well, as long as I don't scream fire in a theater, I can say whatever I want. It's not true. Prove it to yourself. Look over at your wife or wait till she comes home from work and say, "What are you doing, you fat slob? Where's my dinner?" You're free to say it. Watch what happens. And that's what Abby doesn't understand. Yes, there is a cost. We have a $6 billion deal in place. I need that $6 billion more than I need Jimmy Kimmel. Here's somebody who knew that about a couple years ago.
They pushed us super hard to take down things that were honestly were true, right? I mean, they basically pushed us and said, you know, anything that says that vaccines might have side effects, you basically need to take down. And I was just like, well, we're not going to do that. Like, we're clearly not going to do that. I mean, that is kind of inarguably true.
Who is they? Who's telling you to take down things that
it was
talk about vaccine side effects?
It was people in the Biden administration. I think these people from the Biden administration would call up our team and like scream at them and curse, and it's like.
And we'll. So why in 2025, or was that late 2024, did all of a sudden Mark Zuckerberg have an epiphany and say, now I can tell everybody what was going on? Why? Ask yourself, because I know what the people in the chat are going to say. I don't trust Zuckerberg. Oh, he's only in it for the money. You think? Now he's like, you know what they were doing to me? They had me bent over and they were whipping me and telling me I had to do something. And some of you might say, well, he could have stopped. He could have put his multi-billion-dollar business on the ropes. Doesn't work that way. He had to sit there and take it. There are so many people right now who are probably hearing this and like, well, Barry, Mark Zuckerberg sucks. He probably does. But he doesn't owe you anything. He owes the people who have stock, unless, of course, you own stock in Meta. But you just saw, again, a completely different person. Doesn't mean he's a different guy. He's a different business person. Now I can tell you guys what happened. Now I can tell you why I had to put the money to the voting boxes. Now I can tell you all the different things we did because they were poking at me and saying, you better do this, screaming at my staff. You ever been in that kind of pressure? You ever have the government calling your business? You ever have the government calling your business and saying, you better take that post down, and if you don't, and yet Abby Phillips is under the auspices of, well, you know, they got a $6 billion deal, and, you know, they have to go in front of Brendan Carr. Yeah, you got to answer to somebody. I want to take you back to November of 2024. So all the people on the left who are now screaming about free speech, I want you to imagine if this person was president right now.
The Department of Justice of the United States back in the business of justice. We will double the Civil Rights Division and direct law enforcement to counter this extremism. We will hold social media platforms accountable for the...
You gonna do what? The Department of Justice is about to get sicked on social media companies. We're gonna hold you accountable. You hear what she's saying, right? You better shut up and do what we tell you, or it's going to be Biden book or Kamala book. It won't be Facebook. It'll be one of our books. Sort of like what Mondami is doing in New York. We're going to take over real estate. We're going to take over grocery stores. What do you mean? How are you going to take over a grocery store? It's mine. It's Barry's House of Produce. Not anymore. But I want to sell my produce. I got great mangoes. Sorry. We're going to take it over. That's just New York. This woman planned on doing it nationwide. And you're wondering, as some people say in here, isn't it all about money? Are you just realizing that? Let me be the one to tell you. Yeah, it is. It's called capitalism. Maybe that's why some people are going towards communism. It scares them. Are you telling me all this stuff that's happening behind the scenes, in front of scenes, is about money? Yes. 100%. Because not a single one of these companies, not one, none of them are in business for any other reason but to make money. Nobody goes into the Secretary of State's office and files their corporate papers without the intent of doing so to earn a profit. And anything that stops a company from enjoying said profit is something they have to work around. Every single one of the sponsors on this channel, every single partner would disappear, except for the fact they earn profit from everybody across the ecosystem that they end up partnering with. Otherwise, they won't be partners anymore. And I know a lot of you guys, it doesn't sit well. That's because you've probably labored your entire life instead of entrepreneurialized everything. The person that you work for, the job that you work for, they could do good. They could be giving out turkeys on Thanksgiving. They could be helping the homeless. But they're all doing it because of the branding associated with it. They're not doing it because they're just nice guys. Otherwise, they do it personally. They wouldn't need to put out the truck with all the labels on it. When I worked at Papa John's, but when I was at the advertising agency, and I, would have to give them ideas. When the tornadoes went through Tuscaloosa, I got on the phone right away and I go, get the mobile kitchens, drive those mobile kitchens out to Tuscaloosa and give the first responders free food. What? Why do we do that? Why would we bring all of our stuff and mobile ovens and everything and pump out free food? Because you will not be able to buy the media that you will receive. See, there's two things in media. There's paid for media and there's earned media. Paid for media is if you went to television and said, I'd like to run 4 or 5 spots. Okay, it's going to cost you this much money. Earned media is when they talk about you on the news. Papa John's arrived and they're giving out 500 pizzas an hour to all the first responders. You don't pay for that. That's earned. And so the reason why a company will do that, and the reason why a company will get in and go where there's a problem and people need help, the original reason is because they understand what earned media is. And then the altruistic part, yeah, we're here to help. Yeah, you're here to help, but you didn't come here in unlogoed trucks. You didn't come out there without any, just look for yourself next time. You think I'm lying. Wait till there's another unfortunate incident where a hurricane or something hits and watch how many trucks show up and what they're doing and which ones have logos and which ones don't. Don't kid yourself. I'm sorry if I'm the bearer of bad news. I'm sorry if I'm breaking your Santa Claus bubble here. But the entire thing runs based upon profit.
hate infiltrating their platforms because they have a responsibility to help fight against this threat to our democracy. And if you profit off of hate, if you act as a megaphone for misinformation or cyber warfare, if you don't police your platforms, we are going to hold you accountable as a community.
How do you plan on doing that, Kamala? How are you going to tell a private company that they have to do this, this, and this, or else? You know, Abby, you just said it. You know, Brendan Carter, I'm not going to go through it again, but you just heard the drunken sailor here say, we're going to hold you accountable. How? What mechanism would Kamala Harris have had as president right now to hold these digital media companies accountable? She spilled the beans and people didn't realize it. Nobody on the left screamed about that. You go, girl. You go. You tell them. You tell them you're going to go in and backdoor influence them. The people won't even know. She just told you. I'm going to go after these companies if they don't do what I tell them to do. I want you to go in. I want you to censor. I want you to stop this. I want you to take that down. And I'm going to put the DOJ on you until you do what we want you to do. Or you can just do it yourself. See, I watch things. I listen to what people say. I don't like to get all emotional because I'm like, people go say, oh, Mark Zuckerberg sucks. What if the president and the vice president and the attorney general were calling your boss right now? Hey, listen, I understand that this many people who work here, while they're working here, they're trolling Twitter. I want you to put a filter where they can't access the internet while they're here. You'd never know, except one day you'd look here and like, I can't get online. Like, what's wrong? Oh, I'm sorry, we have a new policy now. Our new policy is you cannot access social media during work. But you have no idea who started that policy.
Well, this is a major moment in American history. This is a crossing of the Rubicon. And I think everybody should take this very, very seriously. For ABC to capitulate preemptively is handing power to the president he does not have. The proper course is to tell the FCC, we'll see you in court if you take anybody's license. We are not going to be bullied or intimidated. Any media
We're going to take you to court if you stop us from having a privilege. I just basically summarized what he said. He said, if you take somebody's license. Well, let me ask you a question. If you go out and drive drunk right now a few times, if you're caught speeding a few times, if you get in a vehicular accident and don't have insurance, that license that you carry in your pocket will be taken away from you. You are not entitled to a license. You just described going to court to enforce a privilege. And obviously there's some district court judge out there somewhere who will say, yeah, you can't take away their privilege. I would gladly see them do that. They don't even know what kind of Pandora's box they would open if they say you can't recall somebody's license. The very nature of the word tells you that you don't have control over this. We do. We're allowing you to use it right now. Want more proof of that? You ever log on and download some software? You think you own that software? Microsoft has made gazillions of dollars because they license you the software. You don't own it. It is all theirs, all the code, everything in it. They license you that software. What's that big Quicken? They license you Quicken. You don't own Quicken. Photoshop, Adobe, name it, Premiere, all the different things. You don't own it. We're giving you the license to use it. We're giving you the license to drive. We're giving you the license to broadcast. And they're sitting here, now the next court thing is, we want to challenge a privilege. Don't open that box. Don't even try and open that box. It would be Armageddon. If you're going to tell people that a license can be challenged and overruled, then your computers are going to go dark about a week after that. Think long term with this stuff. We'll be in court right away to challenge that. Oh, good luck with that.
Organization in the world stands up to government threats. They don't roll over and show their tummy, that's not why you have a license in the first place. You have a license in the first place to help exercise the First Amendment, not to be a part of crushing it. ABC.
No, you don't. You don't have a license to the First Amendment. You have a license to put up a tower and do things and transmit a signal. And then by getting that license, you have an obligation that's associated with it. Just like anything on your computer, just like driving. Hey, what's my obligation if I get a driver's license? Don't speed. Oh, don't drive drunk. Wear a seatbelt. Those are all conditions on something that most people know, is a privilege. Don't do that stuff, we'll take it away. He's saying we can do whatever we want because we have a license. Boy, I don't think Van can be that stupid, which then tells me they're lying.
You'd be ashamed. The leadership of Disney should immediately reverse this. And but Americans around the president said something about patriots. No patriot, no constitutional conservative, no one who believes in our system, the founders themselves would be appalled by the behavior.
Why? It's the very nature of the First Amendment. The very nature of what our founders said is what is going on. It's a privilege. You see, they have completely twisted the ideology behind First Amendment where they don't even understand what they're saying anymore. They have crossed the line so far that anything I want to say is now a First Amendment issue. Anything. No, it doesn't work that way. There are rules. And it even goes as far as our chat and other people's chat and how they handle things. There are rules to the First Amendment. There is no obligation to free speech in a workplace or on somebody else's, land. Go out in the field in your backyard and scream whatever you bloody want. Nobody has the obligation to listen. That's what your First Amendment is. Say whatever you want. I can't say, you know what, Pontiac sucks. I can say Pontiac sucks. But anyone here that owns a Pontiac or used to own a Pontiac could say, I choose not to listen.
You're Donald Trump. The behavior of this the bureaucrat, they don't like bureaucrats, a bureaucrat just shut down an American company's ability to make its own decisions. That's a lot closer to an authoritarian or even a communist regime.
Oh my goodness. They didn't shut Disney down. They didn't shut Sinclair down. Sinclair and Nexstar, I keep trying to let you guys know because that way you can call the balls and strikes here and be completely objective, whether it was Trump's, anybody. It's a very hard pill for people to swallow to understand you do not have First Amendment rights on somebody else. And everything he's saying, everything the media is saying right now is they're trying to let people believe fraudulently that we can say whatever we want and you can't do anything about it, which is completely not true.
Something that the conservatives should be embracing. This has Charlie Kirk would be on his podcast tomorrow morning saying this is an outrage and it's wrong, it's completely un-American. But this is a crossing of the Rubicon, and I think people should take this very, very seriously.
David Axelrod, do you believe that this is sort of an inflection point or crossing the Rubicon, as Van said?
Well, we've had several, but this moment seems very important for the reasons that Van mentioned, the Congressman mentioned. It's not just about this issue, and this is a very serious issue because the FCC chair, who's acting like a thug, a minor mafia figure here, threatening people.
See, what they're doing there is they're lying. That's how you know we're winning. When you hear this kind of speech, you know we're winning. Nobody's being threatened. When people feel like they're threatened, they lash out. They try to defend themselves. They feel like they're under attack, whether real or not. And what's happening across the liberal media right now is they now realize, and this is the big point, they now realize there are rules. See, they've operated with complete impunity for so long, I don't think they remember that there are rules. We have let things go way too far. We have watched sex permeate itself into broadcast television. We've watched profanity go into broadcast television. We've watched alternative lifestyles go into the programming on broadcast televisions. We've watched lies go into broadcast television. They don't feel there are any rules or any boundaries. There was a time where you could smoke on television. And they decided, nope, we're not going to do that anymore. Our license that we give you is not going to allow that privilege of broadcasting somebody smoking. All the other stuff, though, for the last couple decades, they've let it go. They've let it go, people. Do you remember the Dick Van Dyke Show? Do you remember the Lucille Ball Show? You know, we all grew up, mostly people my age, and you're like, why are these people sleeping in separate beds? Why are they wearing pajamas? I mean, nowadays, it's one bed, and sometimes it's got 2 or 3 people in it, and they're half naked. We've completely just, everything goes. And back there, you know, when was America great again? America was great when you didn't have to rely on skin to get people to watch. When the people in the show, Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball, Dick Van Dyke and Mary Tyler Moore, when the people in the show, that was the talent. They're going to make you laugh without flashing and doing anything. We're just going to be funny. We've lost that. Now it's like, here comes the gratuitous sex scene, all rolling around like this has nothing to do with anything. You're not going to solve the crime humping right now. It ain't going to happen. But they're in every show because we let it go. We let it get to this point. We let it get to the point where Jimmy Kimmel can say some of the stupidest stuff out there. And these people think that was normal. And so it's very hard to pull it back and go, you can't do that anymore. Oh, it's my First Amendment. I'm pretty sure at one point the producers from Mary Tyler Moore and Dick Van Dyke said, you know what, it would be pretty cool if we just had a king-size bed here and Mary once in a while wore a G-string. No, that's not what this is about. This is about a comedy show between a guy and his wife, and he's a writer. Oh, okay, so we can't show Mary Tyler Moore in a G-string? No, not going to work. Okay, how about Lucy? You know, Desi, he's a Latin lover. Can we show some Latin loving going on? No. He's a band performer, and that's his wife, and they just made you laugh. By the way, if you've never seen the Big Trailer, oh, great movie. Robin made me watch that. That's some funny stuff. As I'm mentioning these shows, many of you are like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember Happy Days. I remember when people didn't have to show skin to win. Now, turn on every single show, and no matter what it is, a cop show, a medical show, a law show, you're going to get to the point where 2 or 3 people are going to be wrestling around in bed. 3 people you're watching as a voyeur that you don't know. And it all happened because we allowed it to get here. That genie has been out the bottle for a while, and now they're freaking out because let's put it back in the box, okay? We don't need to do that. If you're funny, Jimmy, stand up and tell jokes. Make me laugh. Colbert. If it's funny, make me laugh. That's not funny.
And they say, well, we're going to decide whether a network is acting in the public interest. I guess whether a particular program is in the public interest, and we will decide what that public interest is. That is what happens in authoritarian states. But the point that Dan Goldman made at the end is really important. I think we owe it to the president, we owe it to the people around him to take him seriously. He's been saying not just before, but since the Kirk assassination, but before it, that he was going to go after, say, George Soros because he said he was funding agitators. And this thing tonight, this post, should not be dismissed. Because what it means is he will define, just as they will define the public interest, they will define what is Antifa, and they will go after everyone and everything that they put under that umbrella, even though it isn't an organization. It is in many ways mythology.
Whoa, he just defended Antifa. Now we know there's something wrong here. Oh, it's just mythology. Mythology, I've never seen a unicorn. Never seen Medusa. Never seen these things. Never seen Samson. I've seen Antifa. It's not mythology. It's not just some figment of my magic. I see them. Now you're seeing why they're getting a little worried here. That had nothing to do with Jimmy Kimmel, but you had to bring up Antifa and throw that in the mix. Oh, we're going to take on Antifa. Well, why wouldn't we? When I heard that clip, I said, they're really, really, really afraid. Trump has them on the run to the point now they're defending Antifa and telling people that watch that crap, it's a myth. It doesn't exist. It's Bigfoot. That's when you know you're really winning. Here, just listen to that again. Let me go back like 10 seconds, and I want you to hear that. Okay, ready? Let's listen to that again.
They put under that umbrella, even though it isn't an organization, it is in many ways mythology.
I think everybody in the chat right now, huh? Mythology? Yep, that's where they're going. What you see here doesn't exist. Here's the little Men in Black. Zit! Let me zap your mind right now. There's no such thing as Antifa, even though they call themselves Antifa and Black Bloc. That's a news station. You're openly lying to people for what benefit? Who's making you say this stuff?
But it gives them, a pretext to go after their political enemies. And, Rahm said, Kara said, well, voters have a say. They do have a say. But this is going to be a major effort to try and defund any opposition in this country by doing it under this rubric of Antifa and the radical left. I think this is an inflection moment. So it's quite concerning.
Okay, now we know. Now it's an inflection moment. It's the Rubicon. It's every adjective that you can say because, oh my God, they're coming after our core pillars of idiocy. They're going to tear it down. They're going to rip it apart. The Antifa is not supposed to be real, even though we see it. We see them burning cities and all the stuff they've been doing. They're going to come after us, and oh my God, they're going to make us tell the truth on television. And then, are they going to take away sex too? And oh my gosh, are they going to take away pharmaceutical advertising? You see, the problem with this is, and I'll just go back to Obama. Elections have consequences. I would believe every single person who voted for President Trump said, when are we going to start seeing this stuff? And it's so funny because I don't see a lot of people saying, oh, it's here. It's here right now. They're just realizing, oh, he was serious. Oh, he's really serious. He told you it was coming. Campaign speech after campaign speech after campaign speech. We are going to stop this craziness. And now they're seeing it happen. Cross the Rubicon? The Rubicon got crossed in November. You're just seeing what happens once they've landed. Get used to it.
It's as predictable as the sunrise. Democrats win elections, and then Republicans say they are being silenced. But while some cry cancel culture, let me suggest a different way to think about this. A harm reduction model. This harm happens all over the place. In the words of a recently fired Fox News editor, news consumers are both overfed and malnourished at the same time, gorging on empty informational calories, indulging their sugar fixes of self-affirming half-truths and even outright lies.
He's talking about himself there. This is a piece, I believe it was like from 2022. And I'm watching this piece and I'm like, he's explaining what's going on right now, and they were gloating about it before.
It's impossible to make all those lies go away, but they can be reduced. All right? Harm reduction. But instead we get this over on Newsmax. Look at this. Biden's plan to destroy America. It looks like some crazy comic book movie or something, or some action hero movie. That's what we get on Newsmax. Here's what we get on Fox. Tucker Carlson declaring that unity for Dems means locking up their opponents and, quote, you can now be arrested for saying the wrong thing. What? And the government is at war with its own people. What? This apocalyptic stuff is day in, day out on these channels. It is part of a radicalization pipeline that pits neighbors against neighbor and lets fear.
He actually is saying this. He actually said this, and now you could play it and go, well, hey, Brian, you said it. Yeah, it was ridiculous. But now you're saying it. You're crossing the Rubicon. Oh, my, everybody, democracy. Oh, my God.
Overpower courage. And it poisons American politics. And most of the criticism of Fox News is not aimed at shutting it down, which will never happen anyway. It's about making Fox better. This is not ultimately about freedom of speech. It's about freedom of reach.
The United States has...
Okay. Freedom of reach. You want to be able to reach as many people as possible. Yeah. Yep. But now it's on to you. Now you can no longer lie and obfuscate and gaslight people and do the little men in black blue light because you've been found out. You've been found out as a fraud. And I don't even know how Antifa got pulled into it. But I'm glad they did.
The most robust speech protections in the world. The First Amendment here is much more rigorous than the protections accorded the average British citizen. That does not excuse Jimmy Kimmel's idiocy on Monday night. And ABC is a private company, and unlike you and I right now, they operate in a regulated world on a broadcast network using the public spectrum. So they have an even higher obligation to the public. But I think what ABC was anticipating is they're going to lose half to three-quarters of their audience, and the advertisers are going to flee because Kimmel simply lied about Charlie's murderer. Charlie was a...
Bingo. They were going to lose a bunch of eyeballs. Eyeballs get counted, and those eyeballs mean money. The more people who watch, the more money we make. If we're going to lose eyeballs because this idiot can't keep his trap shut, then he becomes a liability. And if he becomes a liability, it's not worth it. We run $100 gazillion billion company, and this little idiot here, this one cog who is so replaceable, I guarantee you whoever they stick there will make maybe not as much money, but might get as much viewership, and they don't have any of the hassles. They could run a movie, run a late night movie, and not have to deal with it. Late night comedy is an animal that's probably died. I mean, let's just face it. Not a lot of people are waiting up at 11:30 at night watching television, unless you got insomnia. And if you are awake at 11:30 at night, more than likely in this TV age, you've got a DVR and a gazillion stations to watch. Not including the stuff you already taped and are on your DVD or on your Roku. When I get done with my night show, I go have dinner, I kiss Robin, and she's like, I'm tired, I gotta go to bed. I'm like, I'm still winding down. You think I'm putting on Jimmy Kimmel or some of them old shows? No, I'm going in and going, hey, let me watch Chosen. Or maybe I can catch up on Person of Interest. Or here's a new show I can... I'm not watching Jimmy Kimmel. I don't care what Jimmy Kimmel has to say. And so because of that, because you have choices, it is now different than it was back in the day when there were 3 channels. ABC ran Nightline. NBC had Johnny Carson. CBS had, I don't even know who they had, because I wasn't watching it back then. And now it's even worse. There are just too many things for me to click on. Sometimes one of my favorite shows to watch late at night is NFL Live or College Football Live. I'll go back, I've taped it, and I'll say, especially this time of year, and I'll see what they're saying about the football games. By the way, tonight, I'm going to be with you, but my Dolphins are playing. So I might be like looking like this at the same time, but we shall see. I know we're probably going to get crushed, but see, I have choices. I can tape it and watch it when I get home, providing none of you guys give me spoiler alerts and start saying the score. I don't need to watch Jimmy Kimmel. I'm just going to pull up the Dolphin game that starts at 8, and I'll be watching it at 11. And by the way, have you seen that new thing they have where you can like click on it and say, just show me the top plays? You don't have to sit there and go through an hour. You just click the button, and it just shows you the top plays of the game. Like, pretty cool. I don't need Jimmy Kimmel. It's a dinosaur. They're done.
Fascinated by a left-wing fanatic, and that can be said over and over again, and you can't get away from that. So the decision to suspend, and I suspect eventually cancel Kimmel, is a business decision by ABC. When FCC...
There you go. I know that pains some people to hear. It's a business decision. And is everything about money? Yes. Now, before you start talking to me about the biblical thing and all this stuff, but it's evil. No, the love of money is evil. Business is business, and there wouldn't be a business if they didn't have stockholders. And so they have to make sure that the interest that the people who have trusted them with their money say, "Make me some money, invest." That's why Elon is focusing on on Tesla right now. Make me some money. I'm helping you build cars and satellites and whatever. I didn't invest here for you to go hang out with Trump. And so right now he's supposedly just doing that. It is about business.
Commissioner Brendan Carr came out and made comments about that. All he was doing was underscoring that the FCC has to regulate in the public interest, and ABC licensees have to broadcast in the public interest. Public interest does not include telling lies about left-wing nuts. Now, I don't know that ABC would have lost their license, but I know that ABC was looking at their sponsors more than they were looking at Brendan Carr talking about the FCC's.
Bingo. It's not Brendan Carr. It's, Ford, Chick-fil-A. I mean, hey, wait a second. Pull my ads. What? I'm not wanting my brand associated with Jimmy Kimmel. Ixnay. And of course, it only takes a few of those big checks to go, not paying for it, not going to do it. Well, that's okay. We got USAID money. We don't even... What? He turned off the USAID money? Yes. All right. Somebody contact the NGOs to make up for the money that advertise... What? The NGOs don't have any money? So we don't have any NGO money, and we have no USAID money? We got to stand on our own 2 feet nowadays? Is that what you're telling me? Now we have to make sure the stuff that we're doing on our bottom line works on our own? Yes, sir. Get rid of that. You got to go. Bye.
Legal responsibility. But our First Amendment, much stronger than Brits, and I'm glad that it is.
No, look, again, broadcast TV is different. We're on a cable show right now. You don't have an FCC license. You don't have an obligation to serve the public interest. Podcasts don't either. Stand-up comedians.
See, that's the key. You're going to hear that term quite a bit. The left won't even talk about it. Serving the public interest. You have to do what's best in the interest of the public. Sitting there lying and making fun of somebody because they just died? Nope, that doesn't cut it. Not whatsoever. At that point, you have become a liability.
Whether they're on lots of forms of communications, don't, and Kimmel is free to do that. But if you have a broadcast TV license, that means that you have something that very few people have, and you're excluding other people from having access to that valuable public resource, and it comes with an obligation to serve the public interest. And again, over the years, there's been a rule in place at the FCC that local TV stations get to preempt programming that they don't think meets the needs of their communities. But recently, these national programmers, ABC, Disney, Comcast, NBC, they've been exercising outsized control and power over those local TV stations, and there's been no pushback. And this is a very significant moment because local broadcasters are now pushing back on national programmers for the first time that I can think of in modern history. And that's one of the things we want at the FCC. We want to empower local broadcasters that have the public interest obligation to push back on national programmers so that people have more choice.
And that's the key. What he just said, they don't talk about, but that's the problem. The problem is, as Trump said when he was running, I want to put the power back into the hands of the people. Not the big corporate giants, not the government, into the people. The only way you can have control is if you in your local area can work with, talk to, elect people who have your best interest at heart. And so what you're seeing is not Jimmy Kimmel going away. What you're seeing is their power diminishing. And because their power is diminishing, that is causing the freak out. It's not Jimmy Kimmel. And if people keep telling you it's Jimmy Kimmel, it's free speech, that's not what they're arguing about. It's all about power. And the less that they can influence minds, the better. And so I had told you earlier about President Trump and Brendan Carr saying something else is coming down the pike. Well, I'm not sure when this came out, but I want to show you something that Eric Doherty is now putting out. I'm not sure when it happened, but I want you to look at this. This post came out at 3:30. Not sure where this video is. If this video is Martha, I'm going to have to find it for tonight. But it says, just in, President Trump says farmer prices are about to plummet 1,000 percentage points. Run for the exits. We've been paying sometimes for a pill $100 versus them $10. I use tariffs to get them to agree. We're going to be reducing drug costs over the next year and a half. I've got that video for you. OMG. If he's going to, I don't know what they haven't planned.
It seems like that's the response from a lot of leaders. They know that the gig is up when it comes to the relationship.
You know where they really know, though, is on favored nation drugs.
Yeah.
Because for years, we've been paying sometimes for a pill $100 and they're paying $10. And I say, what's this all about? And now the drug companies agree that I'm right. And the countries, if they don't agree, I'll use tariffs to get them to agree. You understand?
Yeah.
And we're going to be reducing drug costs over the next year and a half by not 50 or 60%, by 1,000%. Because if you think a $10 pill going, so it'll be raised up from 10 to 20 because it's the world versus us. So the world is a bigger place. So it'll go from 10 to 20. It won't go from 10 to 50 or 60 for them, which is bearable. And it'll go from 10 to 20 for us. So you're talking about a monumental change in healthcare. That's going to affect Medicare, Medicaid, even Social Security. It's going to affect everything. That will be one of the biggest things you'll ever see done, because we've been paying for the healthcare of every nation in the world. So,
wow. I love it that I keep saying the term flood the zone. You're seeing it yourself at this point. It is a true flooding of the zone. Absolutely insane. They don't get a single minute, not a single second of respite. I don't know when that was filmed. I will see if I can find the entirety of that interview, and then we'll show it tonight. But oh my, that's just absolutely crazy. SB's got something. Let me see. Before I go to that, let me let you guys know this. The Senate just voted unanimously to establish October 14th, 2025, Charlie's birthday as National Charlie Kirk Day. That's going to cause them to go absolutely ballistic, that's for sure. It looks like SB wants me to show you guys they're having a press conference about the cops that were killed in Pennsylvania. So if I can bring this on in here, let me see if I can bring it in. And before we leave, we'll go ahead and watch this, because that was just awful what happened to those police officers. So let me see if I can get this in here, and let's see if I've got sound on it. I will play it for you. This is really, really, really sad. What are things coming to? All right, here we go.
And with God's grace, we'll get through this. And pray for one of my officers that are now in surgery comes through. Appreciate the public support. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dave Lash. I'm the Chief of Police of the Northern York County Regional Police Department. Yesterday was a dark day for the Northern York County Regional Police Department and for all of York County and our communities. We are mourning the loss of 3 of our officers, and we continue to pray for the recovery of our 4th and also for the recovery of the York County Sheriff's Deputy. I want to take a moment to recognize the 3 officers we lost: Sergeant Cody Becker, Detective Mark Baker, and Detective Isaiah Emmenheiser. Each of these men represented the very best of policing. They served with professionalism, dedication, and courage. They were leaders within our agency, committed to protecting this community and standing beside their fellow officers. Unfortunately, their deaths are the stark reminder of the risks law enforcement officers accept every day. They knowingly place themselves in harm's way to keep others safe. For that, we are forever indebted to them and their families. Currently, our administrative
Detective Mark Baker and Detective Isaiah Emmenheiser. Each of these men represented the very best of policing. They served with professionalism, dedication, and courage. They were leaders within our agency, committed to protecting this community and standing beside their fellow officers. Unfortunately, their deaths are the stark reminder of the risks law enforcement officers accept every day. They knowingly place themselves in harm's way to keep others safe. For that, we are forever indebted to them and their families. Currently, our administrative offices are closed, and police coverage in our municipalities is being provided by neighboring departments and the Pennsylvania State Police. We are grateful for their immediate support in helping us maintain public safety while our department works through this tragedy. The Northern York County Regional Police Department will return to patrol operations tomorrow on Friday, September 19th at 1900 hours. Until then, our partners will continue to ensure uninterrupted police service in our communities. We know the community wants to help, and an official endorsed donation portal will be announced shortly. This will ensure that all contributions go directly to the families of our fallen and injured officers. On behalf of the Northern York County Regional Police Department, I want to thank the community, our law enforcement partners, our elected officials, for their overwhelming outpouring of support. While nothing can erase the pain of this loss, your strength and compassion will help us. And the families of Sergeant Cody Becker, Detective Mark Baker, and Detective Isaiah Emmenheiser, as we move forward through the difficult days ahead. Thank you.
That concludes the comments that we came here today to make to everyone. I will be willing to take just a couple of questions, and the reason why I say that, those of you who are familiar with what we do in these circumstances, there will be a complete and full briefing in the future when the investigation is complete. There are many questions that we will not answer today because there is testing that is occurring. There is still information being reviewed and gathered, and we will not make speculative comments in that way. But we will answer a couple, but only a couple. Yes, sir.
Do you know if the assailant legally acquired the AR-15? How did he acquire the AR-15? Do you know about how many rounds he fired for the AR-15 in that 2-minute period?
So we do have, so I'll say it this way, we do know what the background is that we are checking on for his ballistics purchases. That's part of the ongoing investigation, and we will be revealing that in the future as part of the briefing as those details are coming in. Second aspect, if you're wondering, is he a person not to possess a firearm? Based upon our information, we could not find any prior criminal convictions that would go ahead and make him a person not to possess a firearm. Regarding any issues with the quantity of ballistics, the only thing that I'll say at this time, a count was being done, but you have to go ahead and determine from which firearm something was discharged. There are methodologies for doing that. We are engaging in those ballistics aspects. So at this time, the only thing I will say generally is he fired many and multiple rounds, because to go more specific could lead to a misstatement of fact, and I will not do that.
Were any of the weapons found inside the search of his home, and who was he living with in that home?
I have not disclosed that. First of all, I have not disclosed who he's living with because out of their privacy interests. Second, all of the aspects of the secondary search that is ongoing, those items are being cataloged and are being reviewed. They'll be part of a further briefing in the future, but I am very sensitive to the privacy interests of non-involved individuals as part of an incident, including, as you'll notice, the only names that were mentioned, one mention of the actor, and the names, of course, of our fallen officers. That is out of respect to their privacy interests. But in the future, with the briefing regarding that question, we will be going into detail of a cataloging of background aspects of this individual.
Where was the actor located when he started shooting, and where was the police located?
So, as I stated previously, and I'll just repeat this one more time, at 2:08 p.m., the officers were at the front door of the residence, what we are designating as the front door of the residence. The actor was just inside the door. When the door opened is when he began to fire.
How did he enter?
What's that?
How did he enter the home?
I'm sorry, you got to speak
How
loud.
did he get access into the home?
So that is under investigation and review as well. They were conducting a more thorough search of the house, looking for those aspects. One thing we do know about him from what we were able to reveal at this point with full confidence and certainty is he carefully surveilled the entire residence and the outbuilding areas. So what methodology he used is still under investigation. To gain the access at this point in time, the only thing with 100% certainty that is appropriate for me to state is he did in fact gain access, had been inside, was armed, and did discharge his firearm from inside of there, and in fact also killed, like I mentioned, the family dog.
Sir, can you tell how long before
the dog too
may have been in the house?
So the only thing I will say at this point, we know he was in the house before 2:02 p.m. We know that he was not at his residence as of the police leaving at 1:23 p.m. In terms of the actually being inside the residence, from where he filed the fatal shots of his ex-girlfriend and her mother, that residence, that is still under investigation to see if we have clues of a tighter timeline than when police left in the early morning hours of the previous evening to the time of 2:02 p.m.
The fifth officer, I think he was not harmed in any way, and to put a finer point on it, you believe that he fired a fatal shot that killed the suspect, is that correct?
So what I'm going to say at this point, first of all, he did not suffer injury, physical injury he did not suffer. The trauma of an incident like this is unimaginable, but he did not suffer physical injury. Concerning the exact wound locations, ballistic aspects, all the things that will go into those evaluations, the reason why I do not want to comment on any of those matters at this time is, first of all, we have autopsies that are pending. They're occurring Friday and Saturday. There will be autopsy reports. And then there will be ballistic reviews. And I want to make sure that the next time I come before you, that I am able to state definitively what the order and aspects of the shots were from which weapon. So accordingly, that's why I am being resistant at this time. My statement of justification is blanket for every member of law enforcement, regardless what, where, whom, every single one of them, every action they took was 100% justified. But the specifics will be coming, but I must have those aspects of the investigation completed.
It could be self-inflicted.
What I have done at this time is I am waiting to go ahead and hear every aspect of the ballistics. There are many things that I do know. I do not commit to anything without having all information. So if I sound uncommittal, it's because every time that somebody says a comment of speculation, so many times it gets proven wrong, and then it leads to more harm than good. So I am only going to state that it was a final exchange of fire. We know that for a fact from the evidence that we have. Following the final exchange of fire, the actor became deceased. So I will leave it at that. You will know more in the future. I will take one more question because I know many of these questions will be the subject of the next briefing, and I hate having to repeatedly say this to all of you.
Knowing that the actor was potentially harmed, what precautions do your detectives and officers take in issuing a warrant for potentially dangerous individual?
So they did get the arrest warrant, as I stated. They did a complete search of the whole area that night. They went over to the actor's home the next day. They made sure that the township police department of the area where he lived, that they were alerted. And these are plainclothes detectives, but they also do wear their bulletproof vests. They were equipped to go ahead and go into harm's way. But the unfortunate aspect is, given the nature of where, when, and how the ambush by the actor occurred, that there was no time for response. They did go ahead and proceed as you would expect law enforcement to proceed to try to protect our community. There was multiple communication. There was use of drones to try to go ahead and determine where he potentially could have been hiding. So yes, they were actively looking to protect the community. And additionally, I will add, as I stated before, the ex-girlfriend and mother who were directly in harm's way, they were not there. They were staying elsewhere. And they knew not to come back. And it was law enforcement who were the ones that went. It was our detectives from Northern York County Regional and our sheriff's deputy who went to make sure and see if they could provide ultimate safety. And rather than being able to provide ultimate safety, they wound up having to provide ultimate sacrifice.
Car fire potential, or were there any other threats made to this woman or her family that you're aware of?
I'm not going to go into anything beyond what was the previous affidavit of probable cause from which I was citing that contained the stalking allegations. There are further aspects from interviews that continue to be developed, but that's the last, that is the last part of information I want to stick to from that aspect for right now, what is known, defined of public record, because it's very important to do so at this occasion. Thank you all very much for being here.
Chief,
Thank you.
The names of the slain officers, please, and their ages.
All right, so that shooting took place outside of York, Pennsylvania. And it's moving pretty quick in terms of who exactly was the shooter and all the different things that they are putting together quickly. SV, thanks for hitting me up on that. What you guys saw there, by the way, is SV let me know that there was something I might want to carry live. And so I was able to pull it in directly from Twitter, and obviously the sound was bad. And while that was playing, I went to my feed source. My feed source obviously it sounded much better. So that's just some of the kind of things you're going to be seeing as I get the whole studio thing put together, because I have the ability to pull in feeds that anything that's running that this feed service absolutely has, I can pull in and bring it to you. So lots of fun things ahead. Speaking of fun things ahead, tonight at, I don't know what time it is, think about 7:30, we're going to see the Miami Dolphins are going to be playing, hopefully they're going to be competitive, and they will be playing the Buffalo Bills. And so if you are like me, you might be a football fanatic. You might be maybe a college instead of football. But the NFL starts this week tonight. And so if you're a football fanatic, I hope you're ready for some primetime NFL action. Tune into Westwood One for all the gridiron glory you crave. From jaw-dropping touchdowns to game-changing plays, don't miss a moment of the excitement. Catch every snap, every tackle, and every victory on Westwood One. You can listen to the NFL on the NFL app, on the Westwood One Sports app, or on the WestwoodOneSports.com via Westwood One station streams, or by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports. If it's in the NFL, it's on Westwood One. All right, so you won't forget what that was, right? Because that's Westwood One is where you might be able to catch the game tonight if you don't have. I think it's on. If I can remember, I think the game is on Amazon Prime tonight, so it's not going to be on broadcast anywhere. So a couple quick things to wrap up. Wanted to show you this. SV has told you that Erica Kirk is now the new CEO of Turning Point, and oh boy, are the liberals in trouble, because I didn't know this. Maybe you guys didn't know it, but Erica is the more conservative of the two. In fact, Charlie Kirk said she made him look like a moderate. Listen to this, to the new CEO of Turning Point.
My wife joins us, Erica Kirk,
Hi,
the beautiful,
everyone.
legendary Erica.
I love you so much.
I love you.
You're my best friend.
Welcome to the Charlie Kirk Show. We have asked the audience for questions. You pick one.
Who is more conservative and why?
Erica.
Yes.
By far. Not even close. I am a moderate compared to Erica.
Andrew always jokes that once you got married to me, you got more based.
That's true. That is true. No, Erica is very conservative. Do you think having kids made you more conservative?
100%. Which I didn't think was possible. But 100%. Absolutely.
And do you
and a better wife.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, liberals screaming right now. She's more conservative than he was. In fact, he just said, I'm a moderate compared to my wife. Oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun moving forward. Now I'm going to show you something that I pretty much can't talk about. I can read it to you. Ashley sent this to me. It's quite disturbing about the man who took Charlie's life. So I want you to pay attention to this because I can't add much commentary because the powers that be will get pissed off. Okay, so alleged Charlie Kirk killer Tyler Robinson played furry video games. I'm going to leave that there. If you're not sure what furryism is, you can go ahead and check that out. Make sure you're not eating anything, but yeah, if you don't know what being a furry is, yeah, you might not want to know. It's some really, I hope I don't get in trouble for this, because it's true. Being a furry is some really, really demented stuff. Bark like a dog. Hop like a flea. It's some really, really bizarre, Mondo Bizarro stuff. I mean, it really is out there. I'm trying to hold it in. I'm trying not to even talk about it because they would get mad at me like you don't even want to know at this point. But, you know, y'all can go dig in on your own and figure out what furries are. How did we get here? Lord, tell me how we got here, because this stuff don't make no sense whatsoever. While grown men would want to be seen as, well, yeah. All right, let me go ahead and read the super chats, and then we'll get you out of here before tonight. Here we go. I declare. Oh, wait a minute. I'm at the bottom. Gotta scroll all the way to the top. All right, here we go. Knucklehead, how you doing, bro? Team PSA had some kind of issue with Firefox. All browsers went wacky and keyboard would not type. Solution ran Firefox repair and chose to uninstall Firefox. Cheers. Well, thank you for your PSA. Patty's Paper Designs. Hey, Ray, what do you know about the movie JFK to 911? Is it legit? I'm watching it on X. It's very interesting. I don't know. I will check it out. Maybe that's be a perfect thing for movie night. In fact, I was going to get lazy and do a movie night tonight so that I could watch the football game. But I don't have time to look at it. Hockey Gramps. Fan cam is my vote for unmonitored coverage. I like that. Fan cam. BLS. Hey, BLS. I got your text. Let me checking that out. Scheduled event content. Yeah, it's a good night. Good name. Snake Pliskin. Thank you. Jennifer Nurse. Barry sounds off. Name for off camera. Okay. How about muted? Says, I always forget to turn on the microphone. How about muted? BLS Doomco, Rambo First Blood for movie night. I texted you the link. Yep, I got it. I saw. I didn't have a chance to open it yet. But, I mean, obviously I've seen the movie. Stephen Renshaw, Fanfare Newsfeed. Thank you. That'd be a nice good one. There's one. Event-only stream for off-camera presentations. See, I want to be doing a lot more of those because I get so many opportunities in my feed. Some of them are broadcast, some of them are not, and some of them are really long, like these hearings and everything else. But so I like to bring it. Event with moderated chat. That's a good one. Stephen Renshaw, fan for alternative feed. FAFO. I like that. Nicholas, very senior member that the Democrats got together to take OAN and Newsmax off of Verizon. They succeeded, and we dropped the TV part and stream everything now. Watch exactly what we want. Yeah, they act like they've never done it. Right way. Bare bones. All right, I like that too, bare bones. Oh, Ashley's writing these down. Pamela Couch. Kimmel was going to be canceled anyway because USA money was cut. Dems used the Kirk thing as a reason to whine about it. I agree. Redeemed Patriot, Fred Skeleton, my all-time favorite. He loved America and loved making people laugh. Can you imagine Archie Bunker and Edith sleeping in the same bed? Just another knucklehead. I declare Obama is Antifa. Dave Rutan. The bill the Liberals are trying to pass here in Canada means charging people for hate speech, but it goes further as it also includes the thought. How do you have a precog? It's Minority Report. Minority Report would be a good one to watch. Oh, yeah, that'd be a good one. That would be a real good one. John Torres, I've been on X exposing the radicals, getting them unemployed, and spreading the truth on my channel. You go. You go. Aaron Summerlin, can you play What If by Creed? What If? Let me write that down. I remember that. We might do that tonight. What if? Okay. John Owens, thank you. And Tania, Barry, we got here because people allow Satan in. Well said. Well said. Before I go, let me just check because SV hit me up with something. Did he send me another link? I know what I'm also going to be able to do. You saw the SV says he can entertain the chat with breaking news. Of course. No, to watch the game. No, I got the game on DVR, whatever you call it, Roku, so I can just see it after we're done. So I'll run through it. We'll get on at 7. I'll go 7 to 8, and then at 8 to 9 we'll do Rumble. Be out of here by 9. Be sitting in front of the television at 9:30, and I can start the game up. So I'm good to go. Whew. Thank you guys for tuning in. Pretty crazy. I think I'm gonna be while the after party's playing. I'm gonna go search for that interview that Trump had. I think I can probably find it, and I'll be able to play that tonight. Maybe we'll do that to open the show. We'll see. I'll talk to you guys at 7 p.m. I'm getting closer, by the way, to getting to a regular schedule. The more we get done on the studio build out and what we're doing, the closer we're getting to an actual regular time. Again, I'm thinking about 1 and 7, but today we're still moving furniture and all kinds. All right, so thank you guys very much. Talk to you at 7.
Recruitment.